Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start off by saying thank you to each one of you. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for each one of you for taking the time to join us. Before I welcome the CEO, I would just like to remind you that if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the comments and Q&A, and we will address them after the presentation is over. But otherwise, thank you very much. And now I'd like to welcome Mr. Faiz Arab, CEO of iTrust Finance.
Thank you, Vinny. Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank NMB Bank for taking the time, and obviously the senior management, Karibuni Sana, Madam Ruth, the CEO, Mr. Juma Kimori, the CFO. I know my comrade Innocent is somewhere there. I can see him. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Karibuni Sana. I know there's a lot to discuss on today's call. I know our subscribers are very excited to talk about your results for the last year, and I will shortly give you the opportunity to go take us through this whole financials, and we will do a Q&A right after that. So let me hand over to NMB team to take us through this.
Okay, thank you very much, iTrust. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the NMB Bank PLC. We are looking at Q4 2025, but I think we will be talking about the full year 2025 and probably the medium-term plan, because 2025 was the year that we finalized the implementation of our previous medium-term plan. So my name is Ruth Zaipuna, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NMB Bank PLC. I am joining the call remotely. I'm out of office, but I am joined by my colleagues, Juma Kimori, our Executive Director Finance and Chief Financial Officer, Innocent Yonas, our Director of Investor Relations, Sustainability and Corporate Communication, and Juma and Innocent are both at our head office in Dar es Salaam. Now, please allow me to highlight just a few matters before I invite the team to take us through the presentation and expand on any areas that I may not cover in this introduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, 2025 was a very special year for us, was a very special year for NMB Bank. Why? First, 2025 marked the critical milestone as the final year of implementation of our 2025 medium-term plan. But second, during the year 2025, we laid the foundation for the next phase of our journey by developing the medium-term plan 2030. We call it Agenda 2030. But third, and this is on a very personal note, 2025 was equally very significant to me. It marked the completion of my first 5-year contract as the CEO of the bank, and I'm grateful for your trust, for your support over the past 5 years. Asanteni sana. Now, if we look at our performance over the past 5 years, I think allow me to talk just a little bit on the medium-term plan and the past 5 years before we get into the 2025 numbers. Now, looking at our performance, I would say this bank has delivered robust performance over the last 5 years, ending the 5-year cycle materially above plans, both from the balance sheet point of view, but as well as from the profit and loss account. If we use 2020 as a baseline year, 2025 was a historic year, as I said earlier. We delivered a profit before tax of Tanzania shilling 1.1 trillion, becoming the first company in Tanzania's history to cross the 1 trillion shilling mark in profitability. Yeah, so 1.1 trillion. And I think for Tanzania, basically the first company in the history of this country to cross the 1 trillion profitability mark. Now, this 1.1 trillion in profitability or profit before tax was more than 260% increase from 2020, where the bank delivered a profit before tax of just about 296 billion. So 296 billion profit before tax, this was delivered in 2020. And in 5 years, we delivered a profit before tax of 1.1 trillion. This is almost, close to 30%, 5-year cumulative annual growth rate. But if we look at the total operating income, our total operating income more than doubled from just about 840 billion to 1.1 trillion in 2025. Balance sheet execution was also very robust, with total assets increasing from 7.1 trillion in 2020 to 17.2 trillion that we closed in 2025, and this was more than 140% increase. Over the 5 years, our loans and advances increased by 160% to 10.6 trillion. Deposits more than doubled to 12.4 trillion. But also our customer base expanded to nearly 10 million customer accounts. And I think this is the largest customer base in Tanzania. But most importantly, this growth and all these achievements was achieved with very strong efficiency. Our cost-to-income ratio improved from 51% in 2020 to 37% in 2025. And this positions NMB among the most efficient banks in Africa. But for those who have been following on our developments, you will recall that on 28th of January 2026, we officially unveiled our new medium-term plan to the public. And during the event, we highlighted the significant impact that this bank has made to the country, to its people, but also to the wider community. And please allow me just to mention a few. Tax contribution. Our tax contribution was nearly 2.7 trillion over the past 5 years, of which 1.2 trillion is corporate income tax that was paid by the bank directly to Tanzania Revenue Authority. And as you know, for 3 consecutive years now, the bank has been named by Tanzania Revenue Authority as the largest and most compliant taxpayer in Tanzania. But we have paid over 700 billion in dividends to our shareholders. Dividends have grown from just 48 billion that we paid in 2020 to 214 billion that we paid in 2025. We delivered substantial returns to the government of Tanzania as well, being a shareholder, holding about 31.8%. Over the 5 years, we have invested over 24 billion in community initiatives, including healthcare, education, and within education, we provided full scholarship to about 130 students through the NMB Nuru Yangu scholarship program. But, other initiatives included youth empowerment, environmental sustainability, where in 3 years, we have planted close to 1.4 million trees. In addition, this bank has created over 2,000 new jobs, and we have advanced financial inclusion by opening more than 5.3 million new customer accounts. These new customer accounts were supported by the strategic investments in technology, but also expansion of our distribution channels, including our agents network, Wakala. The number of agents or Wakala increased from just 8,400 in 2020 to 73,600 by the end of 2025. And I'm happy to say that since this event, our share price has increased significantly We closed the year 2025 with the share price of 8,000, I think 8,140 by year end, December 2025. But by yesterday, our share price was, I think, over 14,000. Ultimately, and I know this is from my heart, none of this would have been possible without the trust of our customers, the support of our shareholders, and all stakeholders. So I want to sincerely say a very big thank you to all of you for choosing us, for trusting us, and for allowing us to be part of your journey. Now, with the launch of our new medium-term plan, Agenda 2030. Can you project the Agenda 2030 slide, please? This bank is now moving to our next growth phase. Agenda 2030 has 4 strategic business initiatives. And the first one is power retail with tailored propositions for business segment. We will continue to grow our business, our retail business. Yeah. We will continue to bring in more customers. We will continue to strengthen our distribution channels. Our ambition is to reach 20 million customer accounts by 2030. The second one is supporting SME and agriculture sectors. These are key sectors for the economy. But this time we want to support them beyond lending by helping them with payments, collections, and other business solutions, essentially evolving to SME and agri ecosystem. So evolving to SME ecosystems of banking. Third, we want to continue to deepen our relationship with our wholesale clients with end-to-end value chain solutions to deepen share of wallets, to mobilize deposits. And our focus will continue to be on key sectors of our economy. This includes construction, manufacturing, agriculture, mining, energy, and other key sectors of our economy. But fourth, we want to expand beyond today's core business. Yeah, so we will explore growth opportunities within and beyond Tanzania, including selective regional expansion. And we are in various stages of this particular agenda. So I think just watch the space. I'm sure you will soon, hear some very good news on this space. Now, these 4 strategic initiatives will be supported by customer experience, which is actually at the center of our Agenda 2030. And this is where we say we want to deliver delightful experiences. So really very strong customer experience. But investment in our people, investment in technology and digital transformation, and very strong corporate governance, as we have done previously. We have now started 2026, and we have started the year very strongly. We are more resilient, we are better capitalized. We look at these numbers, and I think we are strategically positioned to successfully deliver our Agenda 2030. From the operating environment, Tanzania remains a very stable and positive operating environment. This is actually backed by, the latest Moody's rating of B1 with a stable outlook. I think this has been very good news for us. And so we believe we will continue to see this operating environment remaining very stable and very positive. GDP is projected to grow at 6%. Inflation remains within the medium-term plan target of 5%. It's averaging at 3.6% in 12 months. And I think the foreign currency reserve also increased to 6.4 billion US dollar in November 2025, which is 5 months of import. So I think in a nutshell, we have completed the execution of our previous medium-term plan 2025 very strongly, and we are starting implementing the next medium-term plan very strongly. The operating environment is stable. We are also very strong from capital position point of view. We have liquidity, and I believe that we are positioned to successfully deliver our Agenda 2030 visions. So having said that, please allow me to stop here for now and welcome the team to cover details and areas that I have not covered in this introduction remarks. Juma, please go ahead. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Ruth, for the coverage. I think you have highlighted key achievements that we have recorded in the last 5 years. So I will take you through the performance for 2025. But again, in terms of the key areas that our MD has also covered in terms of the actual performance that we have recorded in areas that we focused on in the last 5 years. I think just to also highlight is that our performance is really in the back of favorable operating environment that Madam CEO has also covered. But most importantly, it is also in the back of our disciplined execution of our 2025 medium-term plan, which we have been able to deliver successfully with a strong and solid performance. Now, before getting into the NMB specific performance for 2025, I would just want to highlight in terms of how we see the sector has performed for the 2025. And of course, we have seen the industry recording very solid performance, sound, but most importantly, profitability increasing, year on year at around 16%. If you look at profit before tax, touching 3.5 trillion. And then we have seen industry improving on efficiency with a cost to income ratio of around 47% against 48% that was recorded in 2024. But again, if you look at it from the balance sheet perspective, we have seen industry recording very solid growth, around 24% year on year in terms of the total asset being supported by the customer deposit growing same levels at 24% year on year, and loans and advances growing 25% year on year, pretty much in line with what NMB has also been able to record in the same year. I think the other thing is that we have seen the liquidity for the industry improving year on year, but again, in terms of the quality of portfolio, NPL improving to 3.28%. But most importantly, you will also note that NMB has been able to maintain market share relatively the same level on customers' deposit at 22%, loans and advances 23%, and on total assets, our market share has remained as 22%. NMB continues to lead the sector in terms of profitability at 31% market share. Now, just in a nutshell, I think Madam CEO has also covered this, well in terms of the numbers that we've been able to record in 2025, pretty much ahead of our MTP commitments. But again, the level of channel expansion that we've been able to record in 2025, touching 73,000 wakala or agents across the country, but also the solid performance as far as the profitability is concerned. I will cover more in detail in the next slides, but I think we have been able to fairly penetrate in the market. But most importantly, we continue to optimize our branch network with, or rather channel optimization, with total branches of around 248 and ATMs around 714 across the country. I'll cover more in terms of the financial performance. From the market performance perspective, we thank you very much once again, as Madam CEO also did, in terms of your continued trust in the NMB. And of course, as such, we have seen our share prices increasing actually by 20, as of February 23rd, share prices were around 14,300. And this positions the bank to be the most valuable listed bank in Tanzania, but the second most valuable listed bank in East Africa, and the largest listed company in East Africa. If you take in East Africa and Seychelles, but most importantly, NMB now ranks among the top 30 companies, largest listed company, if you exclude South Africa in the sub-Saharan Africa. I think in terms of the strategy that we have completed execution, this is just a slide that refresh our memory in terms of what we had committed. And as CEO has already alluded to, we have commenced execution of our Agenda 2030. I think if you look at what we committed to focus on as far as our strategic pillars are concerned, we did quite well, and I will cover briefly in terms of some of the key success stories that we have had in the last 5 years. If you look at our 2021, we had around 5 million customers, and we closed the 2025 around 9.9 million customers. And of course, this is one of the largest. And I think this is through our various initiatives to drive financial inclusion in the country. And we have seen we are making good progress, and this will continue going forward as we commit to double this number by 2030. Again, if you look at our strategic pillars, we deliberately decided to diversify our portfolio in terms of focusing on key sectors with economic impact, so SME and agri segments, and we have been able to drive growth in those areas. And if you look at business banking in 2020, we had loans and advances of around 579 billion. And we've been able to record cumulative average growth of 11%. On the deposit side, it's nice to see that we have recorded 21% cumulative average growth over the 5 years. Again, on the agri segment as well, we have been able to record 44% on the loans and advances over the last 5 years, with the customer deposit growing at around 41%. Very solid performance on this segment, key segments that drive the economy. And most importantly here is that whilst we have grown portfolio, we have also been able to control the quality, with NPL for agri now sitting at around 4%. Or, if you look at it in the last 5 years, you'll be talking about double digit. And of course, business banking NPL is also sitting below 5% regulatory benchmark. Now, we also made a deliberate effort to diversify our portfolio in terms of deepening penetration in the wholesale space. And this graph really shows the progress we have made as far as wholesale portfolio is concerned, with the deposits touching 4.7 trillion by end of 2025, loans and advances touching 2.9 trillion, and off-balance sheet 4.4 trillion. Now, again, with this portfolio, we have been able to improve our quality, or rather the quality of portfolio. If you look at it now, the NPL is standing at around 2.8 against what we had around 2019 of 14%, with very solid LDR, well-funded portfolio. Again, I think we had also made deliberate effort in terms of improving our portfolio quality. And this slide just indicates the achievement that we've been able to record in the last 5 years, with the cost of risk reducing from the 2.9% in 2020 to 0.75%. This is a very solid performance, but most importantly, NPL also reducing from 5.4 to what we have been able to record in 2025, the 2.5%. And you will also notice that our portfolio at risk has also reduced over time. This is a reflection of some deliberate initiatives that we have undertaken from the credit risk management, enhancing processes, controls around credit, and we have been able to accommodate, contain credit risk to the best that we can, and this has resulted in the performance that we have been able to record in the last 5 years. And we continue to commit as such. We will continue to be prudent and bring on board quality assets without deteriorating the quality of portfolios. So I think this is a very solid performance from the credit risk management, and we will continue with various initiatives and our medium-term plan 2030 to ensure that we maintain the same levels of quality. I think one of the key drivers, to be honest, and I think CEO also covered it in a bit, our investment that we have made on the technology has continued to pay off. And if you look at the last 5 years, we have invested around 232 billion, in the technology space. This has improved the efficiency in our processes. This has improved our service delivery to customers. This has improved security. So we have been able to invest significantly in the technology space, and this continues to support customers' onboarding, customers' transactions. And we have seen currently, as we talk, we have around 95-96% of transactions taking place outside our branches. So key, investment, just to touch on, we are revamping our Mkononi's, proposition, which is our mobile proposition, and it is soon you will hear from in the market in terms of what changes we are making to make it a super app, and I hope that our stakeholders, including investors, will enjoy the services relating to NMB Mkononi. We are, upgrading or rather investing in a core banking system, and this is a significant investment just to ensure that we scale up and also, most importantly, to remain relevant and be able to deliver services in line with our customers' expectation. You will agree with me that data is a key priority to every organization, and as a bank, we are also deliberately making huge investment in terms of data cleaning, but also in terms of systems that we are putting in place to ensure that we leverage off the data that we have in terms of decision making, but also in terms of addressing our customers' need. Internet banking for our corporate customers, we are revamping this, and we hope that once we are done, definitely this year, we should be able to go live both on core banking system. And just to highlight that from the core banking system, we are making good progress as far as implementation is concerned, and just to give you comfort that we will ensure that we do the right thing and ensure that we communicate to all stakeholders and ensure that there is no service disruption as far as implementation of core banking systems. So we will keep you updated, and all stakeholders will be updated accordingly. We have also made good stride in terms of investment in robotic and automation of various systems, both internally, to just ensure that we streamline our processes and create more efficiency as far as our operations are concerned. Now, I think the other very important aspect to us is the investment that we've been able to make in our people. And specifically, if you look at the last 5 years, when you look at 2020, the staff cost to total cost was around 50%, 54%. Now we are talking about, around 56%. So this clearly illustrates that we have been able to invest in our people, and we believe that the investments that we have made will continue to yield the best result for this bank in terms of capacity building, expertise, upskilling our staff. But most importantly, I think if you look at our retention, 96.5%, but we have also been able to have around 88% internal appointments. That means that we have a pool of resources to continue to make this bank, solid, but also relevant to our stakeholders, to our customers. And of course, we have also been able to record as such improvement in terms of the productivity of our staff. If you measure versus revenue per FTE, I think that is a very solid performance. If you talk about 2019, we are talking about 200 million, and now we are talking about 448 revenue per FTE. So we will continue to invest in our people and ensure that we have right people at right places, we have right skills that is needed, we have relevant expertise that will continue to support the areas that we have made as priority for our growth in the next 5 years. I think some of the next slide is more of what Madam CEO has covered in terms of not only look at it from the financial balance sheet P&L performance perspective, but in terms of the impact that this bank has had over the last 5 years. If you look at it from the socioeconomic impact, I think there is quite huge contribution towards tax payment, driving financial inclusion, in terms of loans that we've been able to disburse in the last 5 years, 27 trillion. But again, in terms of dividend that we have been able to pay out to our shareholders, around 703 billion over the last 5 years. But most importantly, our contribution to the social development. I think if you look at CSI, based on our CSI policy of contributing 1% of profit after tax, in the last 5 years, we have been able to support the community, the society, by around 24 billion investment in society. And this, covers areas which are very critical for the society, including education, health, environment, and financial education. Now, I think our performance over the last 5 years has been also validated by external parties. So we have been receiving awards over the last 5 years. And this is just a sentiment from our stakeholders, external validation that we have been playing critical role in the economy, but also in the region, 14 times as a best bank overall. We also have 49 times best bank for ESG, but of course, best in wholesale banking, private banking, but also in terms of the innovation and technology. All these validate the progress that we have made as far as our implementation of MTP, but also in terms of forward-looking as far as our aspirations and all that we have been doing. So we thank you very much for your continued support to ensure that this bank remains solid and sound going forward. Now, allow me to quickly cover in terms of the financial performance for the 2025. I already covered in a way, but just next slide maybe. So if you look at overall, we recorded a very solid, robust growth in terms of the balance sheet. And if you look at it, loan growing at 25% year on year, deposits growing 32%. So, deposits growing faster than loans. That gives a license to operate actually in terms of driving the growth. This is a good news for us and clearly shows the level of liquidity that we have had. But again, in terms of positive funding jaws, But again, what is also important is to look at the balance sheet from the asset-based perspective, well diversified. Of course, if you look at, we'll get into the detail in terms of the composition of our asset. You will notice that we have continued to drive diversification of the portfolio. But most importantly, again, if you look at the customers' deposit, the growth of 32%, around 85% of our customers' deposits are sitting in the CASA. And from the balance sheet perspective, capital position remains well, strong and very much above regulatory requirement. And this clearly indicates that this gives us a license to continue to accelerate the growth momentum that we have been able to record and sustain the same. So in terms of the growth on the deposit, I covered in a way in terms of the composition, and from the asset perspective, 56% of our loans and advances sitting under personal loan. But the reality is that if you look at in the last 5 years, we have been able to grow in other areas as well. And, funding base from the customer deposit well balanced with the CASA making 85% of our customers' deposits. These are sticky and in a way also continues to support us from the cost of funding perspective. And we will continue to drive various initiatives to ensure that our growth momentum is maintained going forward. In terms of profitability, delivering 1 trillion for the first time, the first in the market, but most importantly, we have remained to be one of the most efficient banks in Africa, actually leading currently in East Africa by 37% cost to income ratio, and being able to generate around 27% return on equity to our shareholders. And we have also been able to generate return on average asset of around 5%, pretty much ahead of what the market has been able to deliver. As such, we recorded a growth of profit of around 15% and solid return on equity. We have been able to maintain our impairment charge, but most importantly, we have also been able to control our costs, and we recorded the results with positive cost to income jaws. In terms of risk, I think if you look at our NIMs, a bit in declining trend, but really still remain healthy at 8.3%. And of course, we continue to protect our NIM. Cost of fund has also remained relatively stable, increasing given the market dynamics, but really still within the levels that we can continue to sustain. And of course, we will continue to protect our NIMs going forward and ensure that we optimize on the cost of fund going forward. So if you look at P&L again, the record we have had on the non-funded income is very commendable as well, with the non-funded income growing at 9% year on year. And of course, we know some changes that took place from regulatory, fees capping, B2C capping that had impacted away. But we will continue to drive volume, as we continue to invest in technology to ensure that we get more traction as far as non-funded income. Overall contribution of non-funded income is solid at around 35%, which is still commendable and in line with other players in the market and across the region. Now, before finalizing, I think I'll allow for Innocent to take us through the sustainability strategy, which is the core of what we do and forms part of our Agenda 2030, I think we have so far made good progress if you look at what we've been able to achieve. But allow me to welcome in terms of forward-looking as far as sustainability agenda is concerned before we allow for questions and comments. Innocent, please.
Thank you. Thank you, CFO. Very good afternoon, all the listeners. It's once again a great privilege for me to join you today in this call. So as the CFO has already said, sustainability continues to be one among the core tenets of organizational purpose. Just before you on the slide that will come after is our sustainability strategy under our previous medium-term plan 2021-2025. And our sustainability strategy, it was underpinned by 4 pillars that are projected there. You'll see that you have climate risk, sustainable operations, financial inclusion, as well as sustainable financing. These 4 pillars, they have been the guiding principle of our execution in terms of sustainability is concerned to this bank. And I would like to report to you that we have seen commendable results in all the 4 pillars. Just to give you a quick overview, in terms of financial inclusion, as the CFO has already alluded to earlier, we have continued to drive this agenda very purposefully, whereby we have extended our reach as well as our scale in terms of provision of financial services at the doorsteps of Tanzanians. We are talking about the base of 8,000 agents in 2020, whereby if you look at 2025, when we closed the year, we had more than 73,000 odds agents. This is just to show you that we continue to invest very purposeful in terms of ensuring that we provide financial services to the millions of Tanzanians. We've also been able to expand extensively our branch network, closing the year with more than 240 plus odd branches, just to show you that we are very much committed to drive financial inclusion from a footprint point of view. But also from an investment in terms of digitization. We believe that digitization is key towards building a very sustainable future for financial inclusion. And that's why we have invested solidly in terms of the provision of services in the digital channels. So cumulatively, this has resulted to more than 5 million customer accounts which we've been able to onboard during this period of our medium-term plan 2021-2025. And if you look at sustainable financing, this is one among the areas that we have also seen very commendable results from a delivery of our strategy point of view. Our sustainable financing efforts and endeavors, you have all bear witness that we continue to lead the market with more than 65% in terms of our share of sustainable financing instruments in the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. And going forward, we will put a twin strategy of one, listing as well as a private placement, which we believe will be critical in advancing and accelerating our financing of both social as well as climate-related assets. And just to wind up, one among the areas also that I would like to highlight to you that we have seen good results is how we have been able to accelerate our net zero efforts. And this is through a reduction of our own emissions from our scope 1 as well as scope 2 and scope 3 emissions that are resultant of own banks operations. And we see year on year, we have seen commendable results in terms of reduction of our own greenhouse gas footprint, whereby we're coming at more than tonnage carbons 23,000 in the previous year. And if you look at last year, we closed at around 22,000, just to show you that the efforts and the investments we are making in reduction of our own footprint continue to yield the positive results. Going forward, what are we trying to do? We are going to be remaining very committed to ensuring that we approach the triple bottom line approach of sustainable business operations in a very prudent way. We'll continue to invest in people. We'll continue to ensure that we drive returns to the people, meaning the shareholders, through dividend payment, through capital gains that we have been able to prudently drive through sustainable financial results. But more importantly, we are going to invest very heavily in our stewardship towards the planet. Environmental stewardship and climate sensitivity will also be one among our strategic mandates. And more importantly, what are we going to do in terms of profitability? As the CFO has already said, we are committed to ensure that we drive a business that is prudent from a profitability as well as returns for many, many more years to come. That is a nutshell of our sustainability strategy I would like to submit to you. Thank you so much. And we will now welcome questions.
Okay, thanks, As iTrust team, we now welcome questions if there are any from our investors. stakeholders?
Thank you very much, Team NMB. There are very many questions. People are excited. As the CEO has mentioned, this was a record-breaking performance, so a lot of the investors are interested to learn more. Kicking off the Q&A, we have a lot of questions about whether NMB will finally do a share split. Can we get any information on that?
Yes, so indeed, I think we have been responding to this question every time we have a call. So yes, last year we promised this, but it didn't happen. Not sure whether I should promise once again, but certainly this is in our plans, and we will, I think, given what is happening, we will have to do a share split. In terms of timing, you stay tuned, you will get informed. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm sure that is drumming up even more anticipation. You said at the moment we should watch out for the share split. Are there any plans for a bonus share issue?
No, I think, let me say that I will not be able to speak about this openly for now. I think some of this information will continue to be confidential until at that particular point in time. But so let me just say that we are considering seriously the share split. We have all our internal approvals now, and certainly we will do a share split. You know, all other details will follow, and as shareholders, as interested stakeholders, you will get the information then.
All right, thank you very much. You had mentioned the possibility of that you're looking into expansion. We have a lot of investors who are interested to know, can you let us know if there is a possibility of an international expansion? And if so, will it be in the EAC, the SADC region, West Africa, Middle East, Asia? What can people look forward to?
Yes, so so in terms of expansion, you know, I talked about the fact that we are exploring new growth opportunities. Yeah, these new growth opportunities, of course, includes expansion, and this will be on selective regional expansion, but in other businesses. Yeah, apart from just, you know, the banking business. So we are looking at new growth opportunities, but also we want to select some few regional expansions. International, probably yes, but that will be more on representative offices. I think we are in a very advanced stage to open a representative office in one of the countries, 2 countries actually. We will start with one. But in terms of regional expansion, certainly we are looking at SADC area. We are also in some advanced discussions in, you know, businesses outside banking. So again, watch the space.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. Recently, there was a rollout for the fleet of trucks that provide banking services. How has the rollout been progressing so far? Can we get an update on that?
So I think the 8 trucks that we launched in January, this was just an additional to the fleet that we already have. We already have, I think we have 7 bank on wheels already that we are already working. But following our launch of our rural banking strategy in 2024, we thought that we needed to increase more bank on wheels, particularly to support the rural banking strategy. And this was informed by our internal research that was done by our strategy team. The team actually enlightened us that, you know, in these cattle auctions, Minada, there is so much money that is exchanging hands, you know, in cash, and that was estimated at around 1.8 trillion. So we thought, you know, it was important to support this particular sector, to support this particular segment of our customers at cattle auctions, but also in rural banking. So all these 8 new bank on wheels that we launched previous month, they're actually out there, in villages. They are in areas where we cannot reach using branches. They are in cattle auctions, in minadas, and they are working. So I think this will just support our rural banking strategy. And over the past 3 years, we have been onboarding customers from the rural areas. This was actually also informed by the FinScope survey 2023 that highlighted that most of the people who were excluded from the financial inclusion were also those that are from the rural banking. So this will continue to just support our rural banking strategy. We believe that we will even see a lot of deposits from this particular segment. So it is added to the capacity that we are already building to support the rural banking strategy.
Thank you. What is NMB Bank's strategic roadmap to expand its portfolio of accredited green loans under recognized climate financing standards, such as the Green Climate Fund framework or other international climate finance accreditation modules? And how does management plan to scale this segment sustainably?
Okay, so Innocent, Director of Investor Relations and Sustainability, can you comment on that, please?
Thank you. So the bank has a very clear strategy in terms of how do we advance financing of the green assets. We have currently updated our sustainable financing framework, which governs and guides our operations in terms of our financing ambitions of this area. And you can all bear witness in terms of the results and successes we have seen over the years. We became the first bank from a social point of view to issue and list a gender bond, which was the first one in sub-Saharan Africa. But more importantly, after that, after the successes, we issued a sustainable bond now, which is inclusive of both green as well as social assets, which was able to collect more than 400 billion TZS, which went to onwards lending towards green assets as well as social assets. So what we are trying to do now is to ensure that we accelerate our efforts in sustainable financing by leveraging on this framework. We are going to use the capital markets, we are going to use private placements, but also we'll have some bilateral agreements which are earmarked towards acceleration of the whole sustainable financing agenda with our trusted partners across the globe. That is our strategy going forward. I hope I've been able to address your question.
Yes, thank you for that. The bank is clearly still very well capitalized, despite the drop from 26.94% to 21.46% in the capital adequacy ratio from 2024 to 2025. There seems to be ample room for a greater dividend payout or possibly a special dividend. Or will this capital all be required for the planned regional and business expansions?
So I think you have partly responded to the question. 26.9% is basically before the payment of dividend for this year. So once we pay dividend, I think this will get to 21.4%. And yes, indeed. So all these plans that we have to expand our business beyond the current core business, but also expanding, outside Tanzania, will need capital. And I said earlier that, some of the discussions are in very advanced stages. Some of this capital will start being used, as soon as possible. So yes, I think this capital will be required for the planned expansion of the business, both, in organic growth locally, but also in terms of the regional expansion. So we need this capital. Yeah, we need the capital.
Thank you for that. What strategies are in place to curb for liquidity challenge as we aim to grow the loan book while maintaining NPL below the regulatory threshold?
So I think, and the CFO has presented this very clearly. Our loans and advances in 2025 actually grew at 25% year on year. our deposits grew at 32% year on year, which just shows that, we continue to grow our deposits faster than loans and advances are growing. And I think this should inform you of the fact that we have the right strategy to mobilize deposits. And CFO talked about, our focus in retail deposits, which are actually, sticky. They are cheaper and they are more stable. So I think let me just assure you that the strategies that we have in deposit mobilization will continue to see this bank, growing deposits that are cheaper. And, if the treasurer was here, I would have informed you that I think for the whole period, most of the period in 2025, we were actually net lenders in the market. So I think we are very strong in deposit mobilization. We have appropriate strategies to mobilize deposits. I think we are probably the only bank that is also focused on some strategies, including the rural banking strategy, where most of people are not there. Our strategy to open outlets in minadas and cattle auction places. All these will continue to bring in deposits that were actually not in circulation or not within the banking sector. So I think in that particular area, we are doing very, very well, demonstrated by the 2025 increase in deposits by 32% compared to the growth of loans and advances. But having said that, if we continue to see demands in loans and advances, we are also open to borrow. Yeah, and I think recently we have been able to mobilize borrowings that were relatively cheaper. But I'm not sure whether the CFO covered this, but towards the end of the year last year, we were able to attract about 146 billion as part of social bond in the private placement. So I think we'll continue to have many areas, to continue to grow deposits, but also borrow if necessary to continue to support the growing demand of loans and advances. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask one last question, and then before I turn it over to Mr. Faiz Arab. So bringing it back to international credit rating, as one of the largest banks in sub-Saharan Africa, except South Africa, does NMB plan an international credit rating?
So we already have Moody's. We are Moody's rated. Yeah, I'm not sure whether you are referring to any other apart from Moody's, but we are Moody's rated. We are the same as country. We B1 rated with a positive outlook. Is that so, Innocent? Can you please confirm?
Yes, madam.
Yes, that's
correct, madam.
Sure. So we are already, Moody's rated. Thank you.
Okay. Now we'd like to wrap up the Q&A session. I know we still have so many questions, and we'd like to thank all the investors for tuning in and for asking all of your questions. We hope we were able to address most of them, if not the burning ones. I'd just like to remind you that this session was recorded and so will be available on our YouTube channel in the next couple of days. So the people who have missed it, please let them know that they'll have access to it. That being said, I'd like to turn it over to iTrust CEO, Mr. Faiz Arab.
Thank you, Vinny. Once again, I'd like to thank the whole NMB team. Thank you so much for taking the time and giving this time to our investors to ask you some questions and giving the highlight of the fantastic performance that you guys have done in the last year. I would like to obviously commend the whole team for that. And I would like to also thank all our subscribers and viewers. Thank you for being on this call for the NMB's results for last year. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. And I'd like to say a good evening to all of you.
Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.